Trinity. Oh, jeez.
Episode 7 grade.
Okay.
Is it a real TM or not yet?
It's not. It's a. It's like, you know.
It looks like Dash.
Yeah. Dash. Tiny medallion. It's like it could be anything. Okay. For you guys who don't know, we've been busy working on a side-scrolling beat 'em up with some fighting game mechanics. At the moment, I'm here to show off some assets, but it's mostly a tease to those assets because I'd rather show them off in a build than show them off as standalone. This is the logo, and the first thing it should shout at you is, first off, call your church, there's something to riot against. And the second thing is effing metal. That's the big deal when we come down to Clash. So we're going to introduce you to the Sword Mistress. Now this is the first asset. This is not an idle animation, nothing. This is a single frame from the Sword Mistress asset. She's the first character that's going to be built and played with. She's your standard hack and slash quick melee fighter. Also, part of the game is, and like you're going to soft level. So you're going to have level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to be able to spend some resources that you gather by doing combos, by stringing things together, by doing a good job, and by being effing metal. You'll be able to buy new skills, and by buying skills and leveling up, you do go to leveling up system. So there's something to that, and your first. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to find once you reach level 10.
I see upgrades there.
Yes. Okay. That's what you get to at level 10. This is your second visual form. You're going to be able to take more damage and dish more damage out. You can see the sword changes as well, which means the speed might be altered depending how you upgrade her. But like at that point, you'll be able to, you know, string some crazy combos together with the juggling system and stuff. But the big thing is, when it comes to Clash, is we wanted, like I'm going to say effing metal again, like it's effing metal. Now you guys, it looks pretty standard fantasy, like hack and slash at the moment. It's your standard, I'm going to go punch a troll in the face, and there's like something to get and a big bad guy to face. But instead of a super bar, it's a super bar, but we're calling it the metal bar. Now, you have 3 levels in that metal bar. The first bar, first metal, second metal, and when you fold it completely, your effing metal is raging. So what happens with the Sword Mistress, rather than her level 3 being a standard freaking out and punching everything in sight, we have this. I'm actually pretty proud of this. Like her story is actually, she comes from a long line of paladins that what they did when they fought a demon was actually take it into their weapon. And they had the ability to tap into that and become the demon that they captured. So technically speaking, it's like medieval metal Pokemon. She is one of the, because she is technically the last of her clan, she is also the last one that's capable of tapping into this demon resource. And once you access her level 3, you purchase it in between levels or so forth, your level 3 super would transform you into the Sword Mistress demon form, in which you do a lot more damage, you are faster, you are stronger, and this lasts for as long as the meter is full. Also, there is a bit of a surprise that comes after this, but again, I'll rather save that for a build. Then, I'm going to show some standard. We're going to start with this one. This is the initial draft that we had for the animation, and it looks like shit. It is terrible. I was just messing around. It was like one evening's work. Yes, thank you. Doesn't like being so nervous.
Do not show the game. It's going to come back just now.
Then
We have on video.
what we worked with, come on, man, is we worked from roughs. This is the rough for the animation.
Cool.
So that's the first attack, your 3 lights into a heavy and into a launcher. We did this and then we refined it further into
Ooh, right.
this. Okay, that was the initial just run through. It's been tweaked a lot, but again, I'd rather save it for Evolve. We have a running as well. Why is this is the running animation. Because as you can see, like she runs dragging the sword behind her, and it should all have like a force to it. Like at the moment, seeing it running was actually pretty cool. And now this was a big thing, especially when you were talking about music and keeping everyone involved. Jonathan gave us a lot of advice, like especially at the beginning. And one of the first things he said was exactly what you said tonight. Is a lot of people get, a lot of companies, they get the sound guys in at number 99. The game is basically done. They're busy throwing everything together, and then they send like a complete package to the sound guy. Do something with this, and it better be right. And what we did, like we have this friend, our big bearded, long-haired friend in Cape Town, Ben Geldenhuis, and his friend Kevin, and they have started a company. The company is called Radio Control Shark. And what they gave us,
So far.
big like so far, like they're still tweaking it. We've been involved in them from day one. And what I'm going to play you today is like basically their first take on the main theme and level 1. So I'm going to like keep it nice and short and not loud. This is the main theme.
Dragon Force.
you seen it? Yeah, you've seen it. Yeah, crazy. So yeah, like what we're going to do is just we're going to start blogging hardcore, especially from tonight onwards. This is some of the stuff like there's going to be a lot more things like the development of the sword mistress, especially when it comes down to gameplay. There's going to be a lot of changes, I think, especially so when alpha builds and stuff like that starts coming out and things start getting played with. But this is basically our first announcement of the proper thing, and we've been involving everyone from the get-go, and the biggest thing was finding like-minded people, and especially when it comes down to the music. What happened was, because it's mostly an art-driven team, most of the people are artists as a whole. The music that I got from Ben and from Kevin, from Radio Controlled Shop, was literally, I sat down, we had a Skype meeting that took 15 minutes where he was completing my sentences for me. And most people will never have that in their lives. I feel like when you were explaining how people were talking a different language, when you're trying to explain, the clash of a spike against a metal shield, I've had the same conversation but for visual things where people were describing, I want a skeleton, and they weren't able to communicate the same thing. And I'm feeling lucky working with the team, working with Dorian, working with Tim with the 3D assets, and working with the programming team, with the sound team, because everyone is thinking in the same, like they're working on the same wavelength, which is, I find, impossible. So I can't wait to show off builds. And mostly, I think, like as our representatives from here on in, it's going to be people like Ada, or it's going to be people at Vadna, or like even Jonathan, if I can. To show off the builds from here on in, or any other assets, whether it be sound or visual or even code. Because input is going to be the big thing, and because something like this, it needs the fun, needs to be there, it needs to flow, and it needs to hit hard. And if there's anything that's not spiky edged, I don't want anything safe. This thing is going to be bloody and in your face. And if you're not going to like it, good. I want you to be vocal about not liking the thing because it's too spiky with too sharp edges and there's too much blood and there's too much loud noise. Like if you're going to hate it in that way, please, like I want that kind of feeling. Yes.
So I like everything so far, but something that I just thought of it now is when you're playing the music that like if you're playing the game and you have a whole bunch of other sounds that you want in there, like say people dying or like sound effects and everything, I'm not convinced that you'd hear that stuff over a really.
Here's the thing that we're working with Ben at the moment. What we want to incorporate is at the beginning it's going to be very, very mild and very quiet. One of the things that we're going to use, especially the metal for the harder riffs, the heavier chords, we're going to actually focus, the more you fill your metal meter, the louder it gets. There's going to be things like, for instance, what we're talking about is when you get to the Elven Forest, the elves are going to be represented by dubstep. What happens when you get in, it's very electronic, it's very dancey, and it's very dubsteppy, but the more you beat those girly fucks back, the heavier and louder it gets. So you're going to initially start off with something like a mixture between electronic and with the metal chords, where you get to the final boss fight, and it's going to be a lot more metal. But we're going to, because it's like you said, the sound effects are going to be just as important as the music. There are going to be parts where I think it's going to be very quiet. I think in more story-driven, I'm using the term story very loose here, it's a fantasy game. We're not playing Game of Thrones here. It's like, it's people beating each other with sticks until they stop moving. So what we're going to have, things where you can't build meter, it's going to be completely silent. We're going to play a lot with the music. I feel it's going to be just as important. I was thinking when we initially started working on this and we came up with the metal concept, we were thinking about things like Brutal Legend, and we realized that they didn't use it that much or that properly. Like they used it more of a tongue-in-cheek thing, but I went we're going tongue-in-cheek, but the other way, have it as a driving force. For instance, with level 1, where you start off in a tavern and you have that standard tavern music playing, but the moment you get out and everything goes to shit, it starts going in like it's exactly the same song, but now it's heavy chords, and it's instead of being on a lute or an acoustic guitar, it's going to be all electronic, like heavy guitars and heavy drums. So any questions? Anyone? Hands.
Are you gonna mess with all the other genres of music as well? Basically,
we're going to have a couple of things. This city, we're going to try to get a little more of a classic operatic, like feeling to it, and then again metal beating through it.
What would be nice is there's so many subgenres of metal.
Yes.
And if levels represented certain subgenres of metal. So like at the one stage you'd be walking through like the steampunky thing, it's industrial metal. And then there's like this part where it's just like hell and things are bleeding and it's jet. Black metal, yeah.
You have no idea. Like you're hitting the right notes. There is going to be ye old lava level, which is going to be like crazy, like lava red and like very death. It's going to be very death metal. Because what you fight at the end of it is, I guess you can say it's
Satan.
Yes, that's the thing.
These play all black metal like minions kill each other.
The main city level, which is going to be a chase level, is going to be very industrial. Things like that. So yes, the many genres, especially the man that we have doing the music, is like, he basically broke it down for me in the many subcategories, like the Nordic metal, or like death, speed, water metal, or like, is it like leading more towards like an industrial or like a melodic? Because I feel it's more melodic this way. It was like going to a wine tasting with Satan. It was incredible.
Your logo does look like Dash.
Timelines, build. Huh?
It's not. It's
Logo
not
does look
really-
like Dash.
Dash.
D-A-S-H.
So the D is bad.
Oh.
It's-
Oh, because of the, like it's making an
So you need to
indie.
make the L a little bit more, base of the L.
Bring the L out and then make it a capital L.
Give the L a bottom thing.
Yeah. Make the L capital.
Yeah, capital, that's L.
Redo it in Arial.
Comic Sans. Straight Comic Sans spirit.
That is the ultimate evil.
Yes.
What's the projected timeline, build time,
At the moment,
kind of?
We try to do, this should have been an actual build. That's shit in the fan. So we're kind of new at this, so we're having trouble predicting the stuff we can get done. What happened with this build was that I did a lot of movement and fighting, and then it all just kind of fell apart because there were things that I didn't take into account, and at the point where I needed to put in like proper collision detection and shit like that, it just fell apart.
What version control are you using to roll back?
It's not about rolling back; it's about designing from the ground up.
Okay.
So everything is still there. It's not everything is still implemented, but I had to go from like relying totally on Unity for collision detection to using the collision detection more manually and implementing my own methods and stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah. So it's a learning process. So it's taking longer than we wanted to, and I feel very guilty about it. But
It's all a learning curve.
yeah. So, but as quick as we can. That's actually the timeline. Yeah, but we don't have.
When it's ready.
To be like this.
No, we'll release it when it's right.
wow.
When it's right about.
Metal waits for no game.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll probably release it as soon as you can kill something. That's probably it.
One button roller.
Yeah.
Blood squirt. Hits.
And
Well, that would actually, with the music and the stuff,
Actually, this thing.
I'm interested in the timeline of one aspect. The next one is how long has this concept been thought about up to this point in time?
the concept was actually kicking around in my head for a while. I've been working in between every gig that I've done, like every company that I worked for, like every time I went, I had this idea of just, because I miss that in video games. Like, I understand AAA's place, and I understand Indie's place, and I realized that I didn't fall into any of those categories. I know a lot of game designers who are pure game designers, and they are fantastic people, and they are very smart. And I realized that I didn't fit in with those. Like I said, you see people like Jonathan Blow, like people who are extremely indie, who have messages to tell and stories to weave. And then you have like the AAA, which a lot of people feel is popcorn, but they're trying to do the same thing, but in a very movie cinematic way. And I don't have a story to tell. I miss it that, like, I didn't know what Mario's like driving force was when I was a kid. I just saw him going to the castle, and there was a little mushroom man telling him that it was not the right castle. I didn't know he was out to save Princess Toadstool or Peach. There was very little story, and a lot of people, like, nostalgia kind of blinds a lot of people to what happened prior to games actually bursting and becoming properly successful and had proper budgets. And I find that the indie market doesn't have that in spades either. They have high concept games, a lot of things that require a lot of thinking or a lot of explanation. They have things that are deep, if not in story, then in gameplay, things that feel very artsy. And I have never been an artist. I always fight against people who can say, it's like, you know, you're an artist, and it's like, I'm definitely not. I'm a pencil monkey. I draw things that people tell me to do, and I do them in the most badass way possible. So I thought that hopefully there is that niche, that when someone picks it up and they go, it's like, holy shit, that was awesome. I just fought something that was 8 screens tall, breathed fire, and called my mother on the other line, telling her what a shit I am. And I want something to not challenge someone's mind, because like that's been done to death, and there are other people who do it much better. I can't do puzzles. I hate puzzles. I want things to bleed. I want things to get hit and then bleed, and you don't get that anymore, because now there's a reason. When you hit that someone, it's because they killed your family. Or there's this in-depth story that like explains why you're doing it. This like everything has pathos. And
God of War.
It's
not deep.
God of War is an incredible story. God of War 1 is a tragic storyline.
Yeah, but like again, you see, you have people that will fight. I don't want people to, like, when they hear about Clash, it's like, that's badass. That's it. That's what I want back in gaming, because there were a lot of things. Like, I remember when Mortal Kombat came out, again, no one gave a crap about the story. They just went, oh shit, that was badass. So that's kind of the concept. It was kicking around for a while, and especially to see, just to see how gaming grew as a whole. Like, it's probably been kicking around for like 4 or 5 years, and getting tired of the fact that the games that were being made that I really liked did it as a joke. Like Castle Crashers. I love Castle Crashers. I love the gameplay. I love the entire thing of it, but it was one big parody on the genre. And that again is art. What Clash is not art. It's power. It's blood. It's pain. That's what it is. And it's metal. That's it. So I feel like it's not a niche that needs to be filled. It's just for, I've been talking to a lot of people in the industry as well, and there's a lot of thinking behind everything. I want to kind of take that away. Like it should be the game that you don't have to think about. Like, you load up, you play, and there's no driving force. There's no goal. There is a story, but I want it to be that you can completely forget about it and enjoy it from the get-go. So that's how long it's been kicking around. I just needed, like, I have a large art portfolio, and I know a lot of artists, but getting the programmers was the difficult part, especially back in the day, in the last 4 or 5 years, when I worked with a programmer, they either screwed over the company that they worked for or the client that they worked for. So I had this bad taste in my mouth when it came to programming. Like, this very bad taste in my mouth. I mean, I've heard from people that I worked with that programmers have stolen 250 to 750,000 US and just kind of disappeared. So I was always afraid to get into the gaming, like into the industry, as not just an artist, actually making, like, just for a little bit, to play a game that was indie developed that isn't high art. I'm making the 1950s horror comics to the Mona Lisa. So that's what I'm trying to bring. It's pulp fiction, but not the Tarantino pulp fiction which is here. It's crap. It's bullshit. It's popcorn. You're going to watch Transformers. You're not going to go spend an evening with your mate discussing the end of Game of Thrones. So that's it. That's the concept.
Oh, my soul.
You should add some blood to that logo.
Oh, it's going to bleed when you press start. Okay, I'm not going to. So there's a lot that I feel showing you assets is not doing it justice in any way, shape, or form. So hopefully by the next time you guys see anything about Clash in a game that make games meet, it will be playable. Rather than saying anything, because I am boring as hell, you sit and you play. That's what I want. I think playing the game tells you about the game much better than any script. So that's the next goal. That is like having you guys kill shit and be as crazy and over the top as you can. So thanks. Yes.
Isn't it kind of an artistic statement to say that there's too much artistry in games, so I'm going to take it out?
Oh no, that is crap. I have studied, for 3 years and artistry. Yes, postmodernism is so great, educates, this and classical art, and it's still, you're telling a story. Mine isn't a rage. Yeah. That's a big thing. It's like, I want people to hate it, because I realize that indie games don't get it. I have realized a ton of times, if you're one of, maybe the closest I've seen to hate is when Jonathan Blow introduced Myst, The Witness, to everyone at the PS4 announcement. That was the closest they got, but it's still, so many, the murmurs in the back is no, wait, there's something that he's explaining with The Witness. It's going to be high art, it's going to be deep, and they adjust their berets and they smoke their cigarettes. It's going to be beautiful, it's going to be gorgeous, but people will hate the artists. When is indie, indie is about making, it's the love of the game. It's loving the game. And I feel like people, most of the people that I see online as well, kind of miss that point. They don't see the love for the game anymore, they see the artist, they see the artist. And I feel like sometimes the game, so many people, all these people that make these great independent games, make it because they love it. And then people miss that completely. Full Fish has been destroyed.
That's a terrible example.
Yeah, but no, he's been destroyed online. He's been attacked and ripped apart because initially he just wanted to make a game because he loved playing games when he was a kid, and that's the way we all do it. But I just feel like sometimes I can't. You can ask anyone. It's like the crap that I draw, the work that I do is popcorn. It is the kind of, I work for companies which people hate. I work for companies that I can't exactly say it out loud without getting stabbed in some communities because they're Satan. I watched their press conference yesterday, and I just the Ethiopia press conference, and it was just the text boxes, the chat underneath were just spammed with swastikas. So I'm yeah, maybe I should keep quiet about the work that I've done because outside of that, I get lynched. It just feels. It's about time that people just make games, and there's a lot of people that talk, and I'm afraid that a lot of people think, or will think, that I'm thrown in with them, but I don't want to talk, I want to make now. So, and you guys have been a big driving force. Even though you don't see me, I lurk my ass off everywhere, and well, from here on in, from this week onwards, I'm not going to shut up. It's loose. It's like a business crap, but I'm going to try to be as loud as possible. Hopefully, yes?
And just like you've shown us some of the art, and like the game I'm imagining is somewhere in between Castle Crashers, Shank, and
Guilty
Metal
Gear.
Slug.
Oh.
Guilty Gear.
I think Guilty Gear.
No, I think
And
not good. He's nailed it.
Guilty Gear was pretty nailed it.
That's what I think too.
We've actually referenced both Metal Slug and Shank in our design discussions.
It
So
looks like Shank,
you're
yeah.
not too far wrong.
so that's good. That's at least the article.
What's the div unlock the site?
Oh, there's the site. What have we got, Mouse?
Follow us.
Clashdev.tumblr.
Is it
Is where we're at the
clashdev.tumblr?
moment. Yeah, or Clashdev on Twitter.
Yes. Follow ClashDev like on Twitter, or like, you know, when you're going to bash this afterward, please hashtag ClashGame.
Post it on the forum.
Just so yeah, you're going to hopefully not be able to miss this in the next couple of months. We're going to be pushing as hard as we can, like all of us, like the entire team. So hopefully we'll have time to be loud and obnoxious about it as well, because that's another point that we need to make. Because at the moment we're very quiet, and then we show something, and then we disappear, and then like nothing happens, and then like, you know, we come in late because oh, shit, I need to show something. So hopefully that's not going to happen again. No promises, but we're going to try, and like by the next time we show anything over here, because like we want to actually show you guys first before anyone else is actual gameplay. So
Wait,
there you go.
is this a brawler or a fighter?
It's a combination of both.
Okay.
So it's supposed to have fighting kind of combo stuff, but essentially it's going to play like.
So it's a brawler.
Is it similar to Final Fight?
Final Fight, it's on a 2D plane because we're going to focus on something like Marvel vs. Capcom, like fighting style wise. So you'll be able to string together crazy combos and be rewarded for it as well. You'll be able to knock enemies into the air, keep them juggled, and keep, like, you know, knock other enemies into other enemies and keep them juggled.
Like
as well.
Castle
Kind of like
Crashers.
2D Devil May Cry.
Yes, 2D Devil May Cry is actually a very good explanation of the combat. We're aiming towards something in between. Like also, I don't know if you've ever seen that game.
Sorry, I missed it.
Vampire Smile, like the Dishwasher 2, or Dishwasher, like Vampire Smile.
The Dishwasher 2?
Yeah, it's a Dishwasher 2.
No, what is that?
Sequel to
It's like a, funny enough, here's the thing again, with an artist being an artist. This guy was fed up being an actual dishwasher at a McDonald's, and he made a game with his
I think I heard of
girlfriend at the time, basically killing his bosses. And it was bloody and it was violent. It was like on a 2D plane, side-scrolling, and it was a huge success. I think Microsoft picked them up, and they, I think, released through Microsoft Studios and Xbox Live Dishwasher 2, and it was also a massive success. They're working on a different, like a tons of band Final Fight type game now. But it's that kind of thing as well. So you're on a 2D plane, you can't move up or down in the pseudo 3D, but it's to give you more control, to make it faster as well. So there won't be any misjudging of like, I hit the guy, but I'm like, because I was a pixel off, now I'm behind the guy, I'm in front of the guy. It's when you hit, you hit. There is no two ways about it.
Cool. Rad.